ever.
The Steve Malzberg Show, 800-321-8828.
You know, Mayday, right? Mayday!
Mayday!
Mayday! For workers.
Everybody.
But you ask any worker that works in a Walmart.
Woo!
You ask them, what about your wages?
That's right.
You ask them, what about your working conditions? You ask them,
Woo-hoo!
what about discrimination? And they will tell you that Walmart, the Walmart sucker, say Walmart, hey Walmart, how, Walmart sucks, stand up.
All right, you get the point. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the president of ACORN, Bertha Lewis, at a church in New York City on May Day. Mayday! The May Day just gone by. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Joining us now is a man who has written, and it's his first book. He's been an investigative journalist for quite some time, but this is his first book. It's 3 years in the making. It is the Bible on ACORN. It's called Subversion Inc. It's how Obama's ACORN red shirts are still terrorizing and ripping off American taxpayers. Matthew Vadum joins us. Hello, Matthew. How are you, sir?
Hey, how are you today?
I'm fine. Glad you could join us.
Thanks for having me on.
This book is amazing. These people know no shame, no limitations, and they will keep growing like a cancer unless the American people finally wake up. Am I correct?
That's about right. And I liked your audio clip.
Oh my God!
That service at the Reverend Billy's church,
yes,
where Bertha Lewis is singing, if that's what she considers singing.
Yeah.
Walmart
sucks. Yes. Like she's at a hockey game instead of a church.
Well, that's why I always call her the Bard of ACORN, because she's so eloquent.
All right, so tell most people, not us, not me, but most people, if you ask them about ACORN, would say one of two things: it's a wonderful group, or B, aren't they? Haven't they been done away with? Didn't they get caught doing something wrong? So tell us how they're still doing what they're doing and ripping us off.
Well, what ACORN did is the nonprofit filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. They're dissolving on Election Day, so nobody would notice. And so they're in bankruptcy court. They are effectively dead. But what they did is a long time before that, months before that, they had many of their state chapters restructure themselves and incorporate themselves at the state level under new names that don't include the word ACORN. So, for example, in New York there, you have New York Communities for Change, which is New York ACORN, operating out of the same office on Nevin Street in Brooklyn, a mile from the Brooklyn Bridge, the same office that also is home to the Working Families Party of New York, which is ACORN's radical left-wing political party. And it's all the same people, and they did this in California, too. California ACORN operates out of the Los Angeles ACORN office. The successor group to California ACORN, I should say, is called Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment. And it's the same employees, the same office address, doing the same old stuff. And they've done it in other states, Texas, Missouri. They have 2 chapters in Pennsylvania. And they helped Joe Sestak, who ran against Pat Toomey for the Senate seat in Pennsylvania in the 2010 election. And they're still operating.
But the funding. Well, how do they still get the funding? Especially now we have a Republican Congress. How on earth are they getting their money?
Well, it takes a while. They don't have to file their tax returns right away when they start up a new group. So it's going to be a year or two before we actually see where the money is coming from these people. But their modus operandi has always been to suck at the government teat. So they always seek taxpayer dollars. They seek dollars from foundations and from membership dues, and they blackmail corporations. That's their specialty. And they tried to do that with Walmart for many years, and it really peeved them that they could never get Walmart to cave, especially because Walmart comes from Arkansas, which is where ACORN started back in 1970 as Arkansas Community Organizations for Reform now.
Which is why Walmart sucks, among other reasons.
Well,
according
apparently
to them.
that is, yes, that's why Bertha Lewis thinks Walmart
Yes,
sucks.
absolutely.
She also, Steve, she started her own group, as I said she would in the book, called the Black Institute, which is basically an ACORN just for African Americans. But it's got the same old tired socialist Marxist agenda, and it's just advocating the same thing.
You know what? And we're talking to Matthew Vadum, the author of Subversion Inc. Maybe I should have started out with this question. But maybe it's good that I didn't. Define for people who are listening who think they know what ACORN is, or have no idea what ACORN is. Tell people, we don't have 5 hours, but tell people what ACORN basically claims to be and what they are in reality.
Basically, ACORN comes from the same group of radical New Left groups from the 1960s that the Weather Underground came out of, okay? Weather Underground decided, Bill Ayers, that's Obama's longtime pal, decided that the best way to change society was to blow up buildings and statues and the Pentagon and whatever. The ACORN people decided that that wasn't the best way to go, and that they would only use thuggery in certain contexts, like beating up people on picket lines, invading corporate offices and beating up people, which they have done, and this is all documented in the book. So it comes out of that. It specifically, ACORN was started as an experiment in 1970 by another group that's dead now called the National Welfare Rights Organization. And this welfare rights group, they did their best to get as many people on welfare as they possibly could. And they succeeded in bringing your city to the brink of bankruptcy in 1975, and Rudy Giuliani called out the originators of this strategy by name, the late Richard Cloward and now Francis Fox Piven, who's still a professor there at CUNY. They wanted to get as many people on the welfare rolls as possible in order to overwhelm the system and force America farther down the road towards a radical transformation.
Now, Barack Obama's relationship with ACORN, which of course is discussed at length in the book. Tell me about he was a community organizer.
Yes, he was affiliated with many different groups. He worked for many different groups. One of them was ACORN's, I like to call them their vote manufacturing subsidiary, Project Vote. And Project Vote is what he worked for in 1992. He was a spectacularly successful get-out-the-vote organizer for the radical left-wing Senator Carol Moseley Braun. And his efforts were credited, not just by himself, but he was given a lot of the credit for getting Carol Moseley Braun elected in 1992. And a lot of community organizers were very impressed by him, and that was a branch of ACORN, still is a branch of ACORN, and he lectured ACORN activists. He taught them what he knew. He also, as a lawyer, represented ACORN in a couple of cases in court. So he's been very close to them, and he even reassured them going into the 2008 election that he was on their side and that they were going to have a place in his administration, even while the transition was being planned, before he'd actually been sworn in. And he was true to his word, because radical ACORN activists and people who aren't necessarily involved with ACORN but still are inspired by Saul Alinsky.
Right, I was going to say Saul Alinsky, who you quote very early on at the top of one of your chapters, I think chapter 1 or before that.
Radicals are most adept at breaking conservatives' necks.
Yes.
Saul Alinsky was not a warm and fuzzy guy.
Well, a lot of people think Barack Obama is, and I think that's a huge mistake. And hopefully the Republican nominee, whoever he or she may be, won't go around saying, I like him personally, because that's the worst. That's the biggest mistake. If we have a candidate who does that, it's over. But let me ask you one more question, and that is the future of ACORN or whatever, however they're reinventing themselves. Can they survive without federal funding? And
Yeah.
They can.
Yes, because that was only
a small part,
to like $3 million a year, which is a lot of money to you and me, but to them it's not that much.
So
they can get by without it, but they have to have a constant revenue stream from somewhere. And I expect that the labor movement and that their corporate shakedown operations will pick up the slack. You know that ACORN was paid $500,000 by your city teachers union there. What's it called? UFT, United Federation of Teachers.
Yeah.
To protest Harlem Success Academy 2 or 3 years ago. Harlem Success Academy wanted to open up a charter school in I think it's PS 94 or 194, one of those numbers, and UFT paid them $500,000 to protest, and so they got local politicians out and all sorts of angry neighborhood people who didn't know what they were talking about, protesting against this supposedly evil private charter school coming in.
Yeah.
So this is what these people do. They provide
a good media show.
Well, that's right. They provide rent-a-mob services.
Yeah. Yes. That's a better way of putting it. Absolutely.
It's not that they're opposed to charter schools in principles. In fact, they have them right there in New York City. They have at least 2 of them in Brooklyn. You've got an ACORN Community High School, and you have Bread and Roses High School. These are ACORN charter schools. So they've gotten there. So when I'm counting all the money that's come to ACORN over the years, and I put federal funding at about $79 million. The previously reported figure was 53, but I found another 26 or so in my research. That's excluding all that. That's excluding that. And these high schools teach so-called social justice.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
They indoctrinate their students. Absolutely.
I was going to say it has to be an ACORN indoctrination, a Saul Alinsky indoctrination, and that is so very frightening. Folks, Subversion Inc. It will scare the heck out of you, but it will educate you at the same time. Matthew Vadum, and of course it's published by WND Books. And thank you for your time, my friend.
Okay, well, thanks a lot.
Take care. All right. It is. You have no idea. You have no idea. You have no idea. You have to read this book. And these are the kind of people that Barack Obama championed as a street organizer, as an attorney for representing some of these groups. This is where he comes from. This is what he's all about. Okay? Understand that. On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show. Steve Malzberg.